So we're going to keep going through our program here, and I want to welcome to the stage Claudia Romo Edelman. She is the founder and CEO of We Are All Human and Hispanic Star. She's a social entrepreneur, global activist, and inspirational leader dedicated to advancing equity and representation. As the founder and CEO of We Are All Human and Hispanic Star, she leads a nonprofit that partners with over 300 companies and 100 Hispanic organizations to elevate the U.S. Latino narrative. She also hosts a LA Latina, a podcast focused on accelerating Latina careers in corporate America. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Perfect. Let's bring it. Perfect. Thank you so much. Hello, hello. Hola. Hello, hello. You know exactly why I'm saying hello, hello, hola, right? Because by 2060, 1 in every 3 Americans will be Latino. So hello, hello, hola. Exactly. I'm Claudia Romo Edelman. I'm the founder and the CEO of the World Human Foundation, Hispanic Star, and A La Latina. And today I am excited to talk to you about the treasure of the Sierra Madre. That picture that you see there, that's my home. That's exactly in Chihuahua. And that is the piece that has made me fall in love in the next thing that I'm going to introduce to you. When Angeles and David invited me today to come and talk to you, I was a bit nervous, but I said yes, because this is the first time that I'm actually going to be speaking about my new venture. So here it is for you, and that's me. That's me being, number one, hija del desierto. I'm a daughter of the desert. What you see is what made me, made me grow. The desert resonates with me dramatically in a number of things. It reminds me of women, resilient, resourceful, particularly the desert and the Sierra Madre, where there's something that it grows things where nothing else grows. So I'm a norteña from the north of Mexico, very much rooted in the culture of my country, directa, echa pa'lante, can do. But I'm also a Mafalda. Who knows Mafalda? I'm 100% a Mafalda. When my parents told me when I was 6 years old, what do you want for a birthday present? I said world peace. And so pretty much I grew up doing and pretty much believing that the world can be better if we do our part. And the third thing that I want to talk to you about me so that I can introduce the third piece is, the other piece is that I'm very loud. And I had the privilege of actually finding my voice and not quieting because of the circumstances where I was. I grew up in Mexico City. I'm from the north of Mexico, but I grew up in Mexico City in 1985. Anyone was in Mexico in 1985? There was a series of earthquakes that shook up Mexico and started basically destroying entire neighborhoods and colonies. And I was a teenager at that time. And I remember actually that after the second earthquake, I went out to the streets from my home, like everyone that I know, actually trying to look for shelter and trying to find your family and your friends. And in the middle of chaos and confusion, I saw it right there, leadership emerging when, no one was knowing what to do, where someone said, food over here, and the other person, shelter here. And one guy said, I want to start sweeping the streets to see whether there's anyone left there. So I went with that group, and I was volunteering like everyone else in different areas. And I remember actually walking in those streets, and it was very confusing, very loud, very scary. And we were walking, and I was the only teenager with this group of men. And all of a sudden, I just stopped. And I just stopped and started screaming, stop, stop, come back. And there was this one guy who was in the group that turned around and looked at me and said, what? And I said, I think I heard a voice. And he said, think or heard. And I just looked at him back and I said, come back, stop, stop. So he came back very angry. And by the time he was arriving to the place where I was, there was clear. There was a voice down there. So both of us looked at each other and said, stop, come back, come back. So 4 people came, 2 more people came, and the 4 of us started shouting and bringing more attention until there was 20 of us that it's a big enough group to be able to start pushing that big wall until for hours, at least it felt like hours. There was a breakthrough, light coming in, and there they were. The eyes of this girl looking at us, eyelashes full of dust and with a sense of you got me, right? And that was the first ever time in my life in which I had an overwhelming feeling, something new to me, which was to be useful. And that feeling actually was so high. And particularly when I looked at the mother hugging that baby girl and walking, she didn't even look at me. She had no idea that I felt like the entire voice in my head was like, wait a second, this happened and this happened. And now she's hugging that. And all of a sudden I heard the voice of my father, Claudia, you're so loud, you're so loud. And I was like, it's great to be loud. It is absolutely great to be loud. And I was already starting to be tamed. Calladita te ves más bonita. Oh my God, nunca te vas a casar, ¿eh? Con esa bocota nunca te vas a casar. And I was starting actually to get the quiet. And all of a sudden, that experience allowed me to be able to say, it's great to be loud. And that had the privilege of doing that for the last 30 years, just bringing attention to the pieces and the things that people don't see, bringing voice to the voiceless. And I was able to do that for the World Economic Forum, for the United Nations, for UNICEF, the World Economic, the Global Fund to Fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria. I've been a marketer from the day I was born, launching plans like the Sustainable Development Goals or the Product Red in order to bring attention to the pieces that people don't necessarily see. And that's how I actually came to America. 11 years ago, I moved to the US with the United Nations, and I was like, what is this Hispanic thing? I'm a happy Mexican, they're calling me Latino, what is this? And I know you guys got used to it, but that's an invention. No one in the world calls us Latinos or Hispanics. That's all of a sudden someone said like, hey, you all more or less look the same. Let's call you Latinos and Hispanics. But I had absolutely no idea that this new group that I was going to belong to was so powerful. I started looking at the data. I was working for the United Nations. I started looking at the data and I was like, wow, this group is amazing. And I went out to the streets expecting, like the red carpet, like, wow, Latina, thank you for all the taxes you pay, for all the incredible jobs that you create. And it didn't feel that way. So the marketing in me, the marketer in me, made me realize that we needed to bring attention to the community, that we needed to open the doors and bring Latinos to places like the World Economic Forum, like the United Nations. And I had the privilege of doing that for the last 8.5 years through the World Human Foundation, through Hispanic Star, and being recognized by places like Time Magazine, Latina 17 of the year last year. And all that, thank you. And all that, using that voice of elevating the community. And I will continue elevating the community, but now through a bottle of Sotol. And the reason why I want to bring this up is because Sotol, okay, I'm going to ask a question. Raise your hand if you have heard of tequila. Raise your hand if you have heard of mezcal. Raise your hand if you have heard, truly, don't lie, if you have heard of Sotol. Okay, this group is better than others. All right, okay. So Sotol is, and the reason why I'm doing this, and it makes absolute sense to my life, is because this is an incredible way to continue elevating Latinos. But now through a product. I'm going to launch Sotol in a bottle as an ultra-premium product in the market so that people can see us this way. Not Cholula, Chanel. Let's go up. Let's go and start looking at Latino products that are super high. And I want to do it through something that is absolutely personal. So Sotol is the beautiful plant that grows in the desert in Mexico, Sierra Madre. It also grows in Texas. It also grows in Texas, but the incredible story of Sotol, which is spelled Sotol, and if you haven't heard of it, you heard it here at Angeles Investors. This is a plant that grows where nothing else grows. It reminds me of me. It reminds me of Latinas that are never going to give up, that are going to be able to survive anything. And I got totally invested in it because I started looking at the data. And the data of tequila is that it took 30 years for tequila to mainstream. But now it's an $11 billion industry. It took 15 years to mezcal to mainstream. It's going to take 3 to 5 years for Sotol to be in every one of the restaurants that you visit, in the bars, in your bar cart. The way that we're seeing it is absolutely getting there. I'm going to tell you what the difference between agave and Sotol is. Agave has it light, has a really cool life. Mexico, you put it in two. South of Mexico, you have agave. One is sexual, clones itself, grows in the sun, it's flat, doesn't have to work much. And then it's like, agave, like sun, the poop, baby clone. So the human work that comes into picking jimadores of agave goes one and then the other, right? Sotol, very different stories, amigos. North of Mexico. So you have a female and a male. And that actually, the female and the male is beautiful, actually. This is the female, and it produces a quiote 4 times in her entire life. That could be 100 years. So these female and the male have to pollinate. And it's not that easy because it's the desert. And there are no bees going around and going from flower to flower because they can't survive extreme weather conditions. So what happens? The normal pollination process could be through bats, but the most common one is through animals. An animal comes, eats the seeds of the female, digests the seeds, and then poops the seeds. And if you're lucky, the poop is going to be in a sunny side so that there's a baby plant that will grow. Agave takes 7 years to grow and mature. Sotol, 15 years. The big difference is that the plant in that time makes all the work. It's hard for humans because there's a baby sotol over there and maybe another one over there. So it has to actually, the person, the tumbador, has to go from one place to the other. And you might think, wow, this is amazing. 15 years, scarcity, but by that time, the plant is producing all the sugars. So you don't need to add ever anything but plant and water to sotol. And that makes it 1/3 of the calories of tequila. Tequila is already light in calories. A lot of people are drinking tequila because of it. 90 calories. Sotol, 60. Healthier than an apple. Amigos, stop working out. Just start drinking sotol. All right. Now, this brings me to my family. My family has been producing sotol for the last 40 years. 4 generations of Felix Romo. Felix Romo, 1, 2, 3, 4. I am the first woman in the family to get into the business and the first one to make it a business because my family has never done it for commercial purposes. We just produce 5,000 bottles a year for own consumption, big family, big party, but also for political favors and so on. It's very typical in the north of Mexico to have that. But pretty much I think that my uncle, being the president of the Sotolera cooperative, has given me all the contacts, all the information, and all the legacy. It was a little bit of a challenge getting the family to accept that it was a woman taking over, but here we are. Sotol Romo has been produced for the last 40 years. It has the same process as tequila. So you cut the pineapple. It has like for anyone interested more, I can tell you more. And the point here is that now we're ready to scale. From the 5,000 bottles that my family produced, I have a second producer, a second distillery, and now we're producing 125,000 bottles a month. Why is this an incredible opportunity and why to get into this? Well, because while people are drinking less, they're drinking better. And the category in alcohol that is growing the fastest, and the only one that is really growing, is the category that is sustainable, organic, artisanal, and better for you. And tequila and the cactus-based spirits fall in this category. So you have a compound growth expected in the next 10 years of more than 9%. Sotol is the category that is in the verge of exploding, and I told you that because, and we say that not only because I'm super proud, but because it's exploding in the media. The New York Times, 3.5 weeks ago, had an article called, "It's high time to add Sotol to your bar cart." The number of articles that are going to come in the media of this new product are dramatic. We see it in Austin, Texas. Austin, Texas has almost parity of sales between tequila and Sotol, with Sotol being introduced 3.5 years ago. So this is where you can start seeing the growth of the category being so dramatic. And just to make sure that I clarify, supply is not going to be an issue because the Sierra Madre and Sotol is produced in Chihuahua, Durango, and Coahuila, which is 35% of Mexico. So even if we cut every Sotol plant that we have, we will have Sotol for the next 50 years. But we're not going to do it because we're going to learn from the lessons of tequila and mezcal, and we're going to do it in a sustainable way. Sotol, by the way, grows wildly in Mexico. All right. So for any alcohol company, it's great to have a product. It's great to have a story. which I think we have, the point is that product is only half of the equation. The real story starts with distribution. So this year, I partnered with CKBG, the third largest company in tequila, in the ultra premium. They are distributing in 50 states in the US, 40 countries. They have already 4 exits. Comos, I don't know whether you know the tequila, but it is made by Joe Marchese and Richard Betts, 2 gigantic persons in the industry. We're planning on launching in 4 markets in January, and these are the competitive advantages that I see. First of all, it's a standout product. For anyone that is coming to the dinner tonight, I hope you love it. Number 2 is cultural, is a brand that is authentic, is genuine, is culturally relevant. We have a distribution ready to scale with CKBG. We have a massive global network between my husband and I. I think that we know a lot of the pieces of media that will bring us to education and promotion, understanding that that is a big challenge. The big challenge is that people don't know Sotol. The big opportunity is that if we hit it right, we hit it big. And it is a category that is on the verge of exploding. So to finish, the timeline and the milestones. So 40 years ago, my family started doing Sotol, producing Sotol. I started in 2022 exploring whether I wanted to get into it or not. I brought 500 bottles of Sotol to my house and started testing it. I was like, okay, let me see whether people love it. I started actually looking at product to market fit, testing, market evaluation. This year, I signed a joint venture with Comos. I launched in June our seed round. We're 85% of the seed round there, and we're getting ready to launch in Q1. We're going to do the soft launch in Davos. We're doing the kickoff party of the Super Bowl. One of our investors is part of the NFL, so we're getting ready, and we're going to go into 4 markets: California, Texas, New York, and Florida. So all together, I think that the investment opportunity that we had, and now it's pretty much closed, but that we had was we wanted to get a seed round. In June, we launched it, 3 million. The cap table is fantastic. One of the biggest fears that I had was that it was going to be just pan con lo mismo. The same people that are always in the same deals. And so for me, it was super important being an activist to be able to actually open the door for women and for Latinos. And we have a really good, like 25 to 30% of the cap table is Latino. We have already 2.4 million in the bank and committed. We have a special purpose vehicle coming up. We're going to open it for Latinos, exclusively for Hispanics that want to actually get part of it. It's a safe agreement, 15 million post money valuation, 20% discount, and the working capital will be used. The capital will be used for working capital, mainly inventory and education, which I think it is a big piece. So pretty much this is it. This is the new venture that I have. And I hope that, like being a Latina founder, you're interested in either investing, sharing, talking about Sotol, raising a glass, or simply wishing me luck. Salud. By the way, I actually brought the plant. For those of you that needed a prompt and needed to see it in live, this is a plant that is like 1.5 years old. Anyways, thank you so very much. I don't know whether you have time for questions or if anything like that. Any questions? I mean, come on. You're going to be around this evening. Yeah, I'm going to be around. All right, thank you so much.